Okay, alright, going with Lissandra into that mid lane to deal with LeBlanc. A little bit of an old school counter matchup into that mid lane. And Jayce versus Renekton. Plenty of volatility. But again, I'm looking towards that bot lane. The Draven was banned away. They went with the Lucian Nami this time. And it's just as snowbally, Jamada.
Yeah, it's just as snowbally, right? Lee Sin Liss, Nami, Lucian, Renekton. It's just full red. It's full go. And WE, contrary to what we just asked from them, have effectively just done close to the same thing. However, no Azir banned away by RA this time. LeBlanc. So in that same facet, they do have a little more agency, but it comes from the skirmishing, right? So we'll see whether or not they can actually unlock the map through this mid-jungle duo. The issue is, it's a 2v2 in the mid-jungle where getting that first punch matters more. So after watching game 1, I would anticipate it's Leyan that is getting that one done. But Heng, we'll see whether or not he can make it as we're into game number 2.
I always love hearing a chance, but I always love as well when the camera zooms in on someone and they just really don't want to look at it. It's like, oh, please, no. Go away.
It's kind of the culture. I think it happens in the LCK as well. Both, like, whenever a camera ends up on an audience member, they do get quite giddy and shy, don't they? They're like, no, not me, I don't want to.
It's very different to what we're used to here in the UK and Ireland, where it's just like, right, make an ass of yourself, quick.
It is whatever you can do to embarrass yourself or the cameraman for even daring to put the screen on you.
Yeah, it's like, you're approaching me, you're challenging me. Not gonna be happening, but yeah, and to those who know, who don't know, we are trying to get as close to live as possible. I do believe we are still a couple of minutes behind, so not quite at the live just yet, but we are bearing down their necks. Of course, they have multiple different casting teams across multiple different cities. We only have the one team set across multiple different continents, so I suppose similar kind of setup, but only one stream for us as we see where the advantages can really come from. And like you said, I'm going to be seeing what can happen from the early skirmishing of WE. You've got the Vi with the Jayce and the solo lanes, honestly, to do so much with you, really, at this point. We can see Biubiu just going toe-to-toe with the Renekton. This is the lane I'm going to be most curious about. We very rarely see, honestly, any of the LPL teams, many of the junglers giving early priority to things in the top side. But with Renekton and a Jayce, it feels like whoever can, as you mentioned, get that first kill, that can mean a hell of a lot in the grand scheme of things. And it looks like Leyan already starting to move forward, but there is a ward here, so he should be spotted out.
Yeah, you say that. I feel like it depends on the matchup. If you get a volatile matchup like this, though, I mean, he can flash W. Yep. Yeah,
he can flash in, he can land the Q, and he can get himself a kill. Leyan picks up where he left off, 1-0 to RA.
All go, no breaks. Really, really good. And, I actually wanted to counter your point. Whilst I typically agree, and it's kind of the meta right now, top lane island, bot side is king. I feel like when you get these volatile matchups, you see a lot of aggression thrown towards the top side just for the sake of getting it ahead, and then it's an island, right? That's when it becomes an island, and especially in the opening weeks of the LPL when it was kind of Jax, Fiora, Cassante meta, 3 very, very powerful skirmishing bruisers. You'd see it a lot of the time. Volatile lanes indeed as flash forward.
Nicely done. Heng gets himself a kill, and that's a better response from WE. We wanted to see them skirmishing a lot more, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. We need this from WE. And, I was focusing a lot on this mid-jungle, just looking at the draft, right? I think 2 very, very interesting matchups. One where Vi, on paper, should be winning the matchup against Lee Sin. And then in the mid lane where, Lissandra kind of is a quote-unquote counter to LeBlanc because she's got so much lockdown to counter the mobility. So it's all about the first punch in that 2v2 as we get a look at this play again. And unfortunately, Cube's flash, a little bit too late. He recognizes he's in a touch of danger. He has to flash so early that Cube can't get into range to stun him, but as soon as the stun comes down, that's it. It's just dead for Biubiu. Gets punished for crashing that wave. That's what you want to do as Jayce. You always want to try and crash wave 2 as soon as possible. He just wanted to make sure Cube didn't actually try and freeze it. Unfortunately, just that step up means that he gets punished for it now. They are striving for a pick. And they'll get some little chickens for their adventure, but nothing more.
Couple of little chicken nuggets. Never gonna say no to a couple of chicken nuggets.
What's your favorite form of nugget? Like chicken nugget?
What's my favorite form? As in like
Yeah,
like dino nuggets?
So like, you know, dino nuggets, you like chicken popcorn.
Oh, okay.
What's your
you know
good,
what?
like,
I'm gonna say something very
in that kind of category. What are you gonna say?
I'm gonna say something quite controversial. I am a huge fan of boneless chicken wings, which I regard as just chicken nuggets.
You know what? So, when I was out in Texas last year, I had boneless wings for the first time. Now, you know, I'm Caribbean. I'm a meat man.
Yeah.
I love me some protein. That's just how it works. And if it's got meat, I'm in, right? Boneless wings, pretty damn good. It's just, you know, you pick them up and you just get to munch into them like they're wings, but there's no bone.
It's just like a bigger, more like better chicken nugget.
Yeah. Now,
it's the best.
Now, don't get me wrong. I love wings. Wings are amazing.
Of course.
Boneless wings, however, it depends on what kind of wing, you know. Is it barbecued? Is it fried? You know, chicken comes in many forms. But yeah, I like your pick. That's niche.
Yeah.
I think
I'm a buffalo sauce man myself. I like me some buffalo sauce. I like coming out. Oh, Southwind. Oh, Southwind. He should be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, should be fine. But get themselves a dragon. They got themselves a big old chicken. They bought a full roast.
Oh yeah. Do you reckon
if they can make something work?
If dragon meat was real, it would taste like chicken?
I doubt it. Different constitutions. Well, might see a little bit of engage in the spot side. Leyan has snuck himself in. Bow. Biubiu does not land. There's a barrier here for Hope. Still very difficult to walk into someone like a Lulu, who does flash away immediately, and this is Leyan kind of keeping down that pressure, saying, look, I'm going to keep getting those summoners, keep pushing forward as a team, and RA, again, getting exactly what they want out of this first few minutes of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Very happy. Still for RA, has to be said. WE, definitely scale a little bit better, but I feel like with the sheer amount of burst and, you know, sort of all-in lockdown and pick potential that RA have, scaling is never really going to matter in this game. It's still going to be about who makes the first pick or who gets the most out of, you know, champion uses here. So, like, you know, if Biubiu hits 2 shock blasts onto Sssum and he just can't play the game, then, you know, great, fantastic, W can get that big advantage. But if they can also, you know, get that first move onto Heng, onto Shanks, lock down any core target, really, they're going to feel really, really happy. So I feel like more than anything, even if you want to argue that the scaling's in the favor of WE, it's really going to be about who gets the picks first, in my mind. I feel like scaling's never really going to come into factor here. I think it's all execution machine.
All execution. Well, Cube might be executed, but there is an early rotation here from Leyan to make sure that they're all good. Here we go. He's going to get the dominance off. He's going to try and make this one work for his team. Oh, I love the buffering. And they're not quite done just yet. Leyan looking for it, but now Lwandy is here, and they can't get the kill. You play on the edge of greatness, and you are going to fall off once or twice. That's just how it works. And WE get themselves a counter kill over the aggression of Leyan.
Yeah, RA. They're just looking for the counterplay, right? I guess they were both looking for the practice play at the same time. Unfortunately, WE or RA just have more numbers there first. Lwandy opens the map on the top side and is able to actually impact the skirmish. And even though Southwind was on his way, he was simply just slower. And now WE will pick up the Herald on the backside of the skirmish. That's going to be huge for injecting some gold into the bottom side. Specifically, I imagine they're going to try and give it over to Cope. Try and get him very close to that shield bow ASAP, getting Zeri online. Trying to just kite back, right, on so many diving members. It's going to be crucial for the damage output of WE as dash forward. A little bit unfortunate Heng doesn't connect on the Volt Breaker, but the Empowered Stun comes through. And just before, unfortunately, Leyan can get the Sonic Wave to connect onto Biubiu, because the minions are in the way, Ultimate comes in, locks him down, and then here you go, Lwandy just breaks the play apart. Nice sidestep from Biubiu. Probably would have died anyway on the way in, but still presence of mind to get away from that skill shot. Now WE have temporary advantage with that Herald to be able to drop it down somewhere.
Well, man, not quite done with his top side. Still has a ward very conveniently posted right behind Biubiu, so maybe looking for a Dragon's Rage kick. But Biubiu recognizing, yeah, I don't have priority right now. The Lissandra has gone missing. I don't want to do this. backs himself away accordingly. So will they look for the dive? That's the big question. Strive puts himself in, flashes forward, really aggressive right now. They want to put down the hurt onto this Jayce. They will do just that, equaling back up the kill score to 2 apiece. With 10 minutes on the clock, they are going to get a little bit more gold back into them as well. But bot lane, you don't have ult for Southwind right now, and you have Shanks rolling in as well. They're going to TP in. That's going to be the Lissandra. Good response here from RA, but that play topside does cost some summoners.
Yeah, it does cost them summoners, but I like this from RA because they get a very early suspicion that this Herald is just going to be dropped to Hope, right? It's the only realistic place you're going to ever drop it from the perspective of WE. Make a cross-map play on the top side before a punch can come through, teleport to defend the bottom side, rotate back to the mid lane. Really, really good chain of play, and now, you know, the Herald Shore goes into the mid lane, right? It's going to get some plates here for Shanks, but at the end of the day, you stop Sssum and Southwind from one-to-one falling further behind. I think you can live a lot happier having that Herald actually charge into the mid lane as opposed to it going into the bottom side and advancing Hope towards a Mythic.
And it's so far so good, I will say. A lot better of a start, in my opinion, to WE than it is for RA comparatively to game 1. Obviously, RA ran away with game number 1, but this one is feeling a little bit more even, shall we say. Also, good respect coming out from Shanks. He picks up the Mercury Treads very, very early on, but still got to see what they can kind of do. If they can pick up the second dragon, they'll be stacking up very, very nicely, and that's where the game starts to be a bit weird here for RA, because you're not really in a position to try and fight for these at the moment. You would love to get those first items picked up before you really go for it. Here we go. They're going to fully engage, and they're going to go on top of Leyan. He's not going to be able to get out, or will he? No, he won't. I want he picked up his second. It's a bloodthirsty support, but they got their man. Yes, they invested a lot into it, but they get away the jungler. There's going to be no steal. That's second Drake to WE.
Yeah, Cantech Soul off the map. So Infernal, Cloud, Mountain, Ocean.
I want a mountain.
You want a mountain?
Give me a mountain.
We're getting
Yay!
Cloud.
Mountain.
Oh, you want mountain? All right. There you go.
Mountain! Yay!
Mountain,
See, I love
yay.
mountain because it means that fights last longer.
Base.
That's why I like mountain drakes. But it's good so far from WE. You know, they're going to be able to get themselves moving forward. They got themselves 2 dragons, a little bit of a kill lead and gold lead as well. So definitely not doing too badly. And it looks like they've taken the learnings from game 1 of not just flipping on a random engagement, and they are focusing Leyan more than not.
Yeah, I think after Leon's game number 1, it makes perfect sense. WE playing a lot better with the conditions in the game, right? Trying to get Hope to a point where he can be very, very powerful, survive the burst. I'm kind of surprised that Hope hasn't gone cleanse this game. Perhaps just feeling like stacking all of the extra healing and the barrier is just about going to get him over the finish line anyway. But I feel like if you get locked down, it's so scary, right? Playing through all of that burst. We'll see how RA navigate it, though. And they'll know without cleanse, he is always going to be a very viable target.
Oh,
this is awkward, isn't it?
Danced around the vision cube, recognizes he's probably in a bad position. He should be able to dash himself over the wall. Does lose a Dominus, though. That's a fairly significant cooldown here at level 10, so not ideal if you're a RA fan, but you don't lose anything just yet. Bot lane has really been a little bit of an island now. They look like they want to go for a 1v1. Sssum, you don't win this, even with the Ignite and all the summoners in the world. Oh, I say that. They're trading it back. He just needs to dodge the auto attacks. He's trying so hard. Oh, there it is. And in mid lane, now we're going to actually have a Dragon Pit as another kill goes over to the side of WE. They pick up 2 free from this entire skirmish. And at the end of it all, 3 quick kills. WE are rolling in money.
Oh my goodness me. WE, this is a much better look for game number 2. RA, it seems like they're still trying to look to be, proactive across the board. Unfortunately, it just isn't working out. Plain and simple, WE are executing targets faster. Now Hope, not only does he get a solo kill, he gets a couple of plates just before they drop off, and then will probably return back onto the map with a shield bow. Now Lwandy already as well has the Shreddiers. We'll get a replay here of the 1v1. So a couple of key things to note. Ultimate from Hope doesn't actually interrupt the culling. So the culling damage still comes through. And Sssum just, he dodges a lot of Qs, but like you kind of call out, Machine, he just doesn't have the damage.
He almost does.
And I think other thing, he's also a level down whilst this play is going on. It's Hope that's level 9. and himself that's level 8. I think they're both level 9, then he wins, but without it, just falls short. Engage from Heng, double Q, yeah, all onto Southwind. Execute him, and they can't find. Oh.
That was his kill and his ticket out. We come back into live, and it's again WE pushing forward, getting aggressive. They're the ones that are going to get everything from this, and Leyan gets caught again from an unkillable Demon King in game number 1, 2. Literally a level 1 slime who's just getting himself killed every single time. Biubiu almost falls down there.
Oh.
Very late tidal wave coming out here from Southwind means he won't have it potentially for this Rift Herald fight. And honestly, I don't even think you want to fight it. You don't have a jungler. Just back away, push in mid. You could be getting damage on that turret right now as Hope. Not going to be caught out because guess what? He's a Zeri.
Me Zeri, me Electric, me Zoom Zoom.
I think they made Zeri because Zoomers are a thing. I wanted to appeal to a Zoomer demographic, so they made someone who makes Zoom, and Yumi as well.
Yeah, I mean, the funniest thing to me about Zeri is that they also, Riot as a company, well, it's 2 separate game devs, right? But it's kind of funny that Zeri and then obviously in Valorant, it's
Neon,
I think is the character.
Neon.
They both came out at the same time, and they're like same theme, Borderlands, same-ish. Like, definitely very inspired of one another design as well.
I think if they're the same games company, I think inspired is I think it's definitely just they just wanted to have the same kind of style, I suppose. But yeah, I agree. It's an interesting kind of dynamic to build up. As and Zeri has been very powerful. I believe she's pretty common in Valorant as well. I've been watching a little bit of VCT lock-in right now in Sao Paulo. Okay. It's been a fun one. And
Brazilian crowds.
Well, here's the funny thing. Brazilian crowds are great when there's a Brazilian team. Because if you actually watch when there's not a Brazilian team in, there's nobody in the audience.
Okay.
It's a little bit sad sometimes.
It's one of those things where, you know, I feel like the sporting culture in general has bled into, like, esports out in Brazil. So, you know, if a Brazilian team's playing, they'll show up in numbers.
Oh, and, yeah. They are a legion. They are a legion.
Yeah. Absolutely. But like you say, no Brazilian teams, me asleep. Now, Dragon is actually going to be secured here by RA. WE are going to take their foot off the gas in terms of Dragon Snowball in favor of 2 towers. So, flat gold for this trade, I suppose is alright.
It delays it, and it gives you resistances as well, which should help you if you're able to stack. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting call from WE. Maybe they want to try and get that Phantom Dancer finished up for Hope as soon as possible. There's plenty to be thinking about.
So, Ashin,
yeah,
something just caught my eye.
Go on.
And I really hope the observers bring it back up.
Is it the items?
And it's that, yeah, Biubiu's Gongor Drinker. Now, I've actually not seen it in pro play. I've not seen it in pro play. I know that a couple of people were theorizing when Jayce had his media resist buff and his like base damages buff, that we could actually see a sort of tankier version of
more
Jayce
bruiser
come out,
than
where
poke.
Yeah, and I kind of like the idea here because in theory, you're getting jumped on by multiple members, you've got more health to work with, you've got that burst of healing. You know, as far as survivability is concerned, it's definitely spec'd into the right idea. Curious to see what the damage output is going to be.
I mean, we'll keep an eye on the post game, but yeah, definitely curious. Because you could argue, obviously, the Eclipse with the shielding does help you as well, but obviously doesn't give you as much.
Especially short cooldown.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So we'll see. No Dragon for the next 3.5 minutes, so we don't expect us to see much of a fight here. But WE controlling the pace with a near 5,000 gold lead to their good. They are just pushing RA around the map, and this is a much better showing, in my opinion, than what we saw from game 1. I mean, obviously, but even just in general, like WE have been a team that have had definite faults throughout this split. This is feeling like a much more cohesive unit now coming into game number 2.
Yeah, to be frank with you, it just feels like Heng has just taken a page out of Leon's book from game number 1 and just said, oh, I'm playing an engaged champ. I just need to go, and hopefully my team will follow up. And they've been following up excellently. And so far, like we kind of said, right, with team comps like this, it's always going to be about who finds the first member, who finds the pick first, and it's always been WE this game. And a lot of that has just come off the back of Heng, who was very much silenced in game number 1, not to be silenced 2 games in a row. And with that in mind, Leyan, on the opposite side, Leyan rather, sorry, had just not been able to follow through on a lot of his engages that he has tried to look for. 4 deaths definitely reflect that. And also the focus from W has definitely been on his back to ensure that he's shut down.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see now with the Mountain Soul on the table. If you get that stacking up for RA, there's definitely a world where they're able to deal with the burst of LeBlanc and the Jayce and really only have the Zeri to kind of worry about coming into this, as WE are doing well, but they're not out of the woods just yet. Coming out past 20 minutes. 2 items finished up here for Hope, so nicely done for him. Keeping in line, a little bit behind, but definitely in line with Sssum. And more vision control coming down here means that might see a potential bait into the Baron coming out right now. W are definitely toying with the idea, but wow, with the shielding, looks like Sssum didn't really do a lot. The pulling goes the wrong way. Doesn't really mean a lot. It's only a cooldown. He was going to use it anyway, but definitely not the coordination you want to be seeing coming out there, especially as you're on the back foot already.
Yeah. It just looks funny, doesn't it?
It does.
Comment on it. It just looks funny. Ultimate's traded amongst AD carries. Nothing else comes out, so not much to say about that one. Dragons in a minute's time. I imagine W are going to be a lot more forthright in trying to contest that one. They've got the item completions. Stopwatch is also available for Heng if he goes for an engage, which could see him die. You can always find that stasis button as long as he presses it quick enough. So RA, what are you going to do about this? Because take a look at the items. You are at parity enough to fight, right? You've got Stopwatch on Strive, so even though the Zonies is completed on Shanks' end, you still get, you know, the use of that, and the stats are kind of there. And across the board everywhere else, it's only really the top side where there's a bit of a difference, where Cube just doesn't have the DD ready yet. Death Stance is what's being built there. So you can fight, but if you don't fight now, you'll find yourself in the next couple of fights being further behind.
Yeah, I think that's the key indicator right now, is that you got to look for something, because the further and further you go in this, especially if the Soul gets stacked up and against the Zeri, there's not really a lot of hope for you here. Speaking of which, Hope is going to start off this Dragon. This will put WE on Soul Point, so they are delayed. They are not stopped. And that's where we can kind of bring ourselves back into this game. And RA are happy enough for the moment, but you can see that it's difficult for them to really make their composition work. They need to catch the CC onto Hope. They need him to be the first one to really die. Even there, you can see looking for the glacial path, but Heng is just not your target. It has to be Hope.
Absolutely, it does. There's still no cleanse, remember. Strive and the Undead looking for it. They're on the flank, but the Pinter doesn't quite connect. They're actually going to find a Pinter on the Cube.
He's fine. But definitely difficult times here for for RA, as WE just dance with them around these lanes. And there hasn't really been a solid vision control here for RA. They're really struggling to know where and when people are going to be. And that right there is just showing you they didn't feel comfortable going into that jungle. They didn't know exactly what way the WE team were set up. And right now, you're looking at WE and you're kind of saying, cool, we got 2 items on our Jayce, on our Zeri. We're feeling pretty good right now. This Lissandra instinctively is a defensive pick. And looking at your engage options, it's Strife who has to be the engage. It's Strife who has to try and maybe find a flank and look to try and catch out this Zeri.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, you say defensive pick. It's kind of a shame, because honestly, I feel like the LeBlanc, which is we're looking at LeBlanc, Lissandra, I feel like actually operates so much better when it gets to be that offensive pick, right? When it gets to set up the plays, that's when it's most threatening, in my mind. But just hasn't been able to do it this game. WE, again, they've just been first to the punch every time, so it's been used defensively, and frankly, the defense just hasn't been good enough for RA as a whole. Steps forward, eats a bunch of damage, not going to matter though. And again, I still feel like you take a look at the items, right? You're just about there still. You're not really, you know, it's within arm's reach. You can still get clinched. So W still have to play this out carefully. Crucial thing to note, Hope has a QSS. It's not an item you see built very frequently, because normally ADs go cleanse, but here's the engage.
they're looking for, but again, it's not the target. It's Biubiu with that Gore Drinker, a little bit tankier than you would expect. Flash forward from Heng as he wants to try and get this one done and dusted. They kill off one. They're looking for some more. Shanks finishes off Sssum. WE in the team fight's looking so much cleaner. It's a double-double. They won't get the ace, but it doesn't matter because they're going to get the big purple worm.
When Team W actually get the team fight, they don't look too bad. But you get run over like you do in game number 1. There is just no space for it. And you asked me, what were the things that we could maybe see from WE to just change up how game number 1 went? Answer was agency. And the play out in the game is agency. RA, it's a key word really, isn't it? RA, they look for the pick, but it's all onto Biubiu. Gore Drinker build just gives him enough HP to not really give RA the inclination to go forward, and Southwind just gets deleted. Sssum caught up in the chains, dies to Shanks, and the return damage just isn't really there. The kick doesn't find the angle to maybe knock up multiple members, buy more time for Strive. Just doesn't click like it does in game number 1, and WE, massive advantage, 10,000 gold. The gold lead was 3,000 just a second ago.
Now
it's more like 8,500, but now Bloons almost 5,000. Now the hole is what RA is in. And they just have to try and look for a pick and break up the
yeah.
Continue to look for a pick, and they just have to try and break up the momentum here for WE. If they don't, they just get run over, and we're going to a game 3.
I mean, you got to look for a pick, but you also got to make sure you don't just die. Because here we go. They've already lost the flash up of Leyan. They're going to immediately commit to this. It's a good tidal wave to try and stop the entourage from coming in. Leyan does kick back Shanks, who's not really able to make it work. Now Heng taking a hell of a bit of damage. It looks like they might be able to turn this around, and WE respecting a cube should be able to get himself over this wall with a flash, but oh no! Oh, I had a quick look at his summoners, and I was like, nah, he'll be fine, but that's just no good right now. And WE getting more advantages, getting more summoners, more things that are going to be missing now from RA in 50 seconds when this dragon gets taken.
Not like that. And WE, like you say, could just pick up the soul if they want to. Yeah, RA, this just feels like an insurmountable lead right now. Zeri's too far ahead. It's always WE finding engages. Leyan, he got MVP in game number 1. I have a feeling that Heng took that a little personally in game number 2. I think he's definitely eyeing up MVP performance here. He's surprised if he doesn't get it, but again, team fight split apart. Heng, Biubiu, just a little bit too separated. Give us the slow-mo of the face plant. Why not? Not much they can do.
Oh, we're coming back into it. You gotta fight this. You gotta fight this. You cannot let a mountain soul go over to the side of WE. But already you look at the poke coming out. LeBlanc is known as an assassin. And oh, Zeri is a hyper-scaling AD carry, but with that Infinity Edge picked up, she is just burning through health bars.
You mean a poke mage, right?
Yeah, honestly. I thought we got rid of this, Jamada.
Yeah, I mean,
they
made it physical damage. They made it physical damage, but they still gave it pretty good scalings. It's not as bad as it was before, but man, it's still pretty obnoxious. At least it's physical damage now, so you can just... Oh no. Rest in peace. Leyan doesn't even get that. But at least you can try to build resistances against it. Before, it's like, do I build for the physical damage? Do I build for the magic damage? Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing. At least now you can try it, but WE, Mountain Soul, I mean, it feels like this game's been done for a little while. It's just about getting the finishing touches done, putting the cherry on top, getting to a game 3 for WE. And for RA, reassessing what went right in game number 1 and trying to apply it to game number 3 and trying to avoid what happened in game number 2 here.
And for WE, they use that Baron buff to great effect. They've taken away all the outer towers. They have themselves a 10,000 gold lead. Mountain Soul, it does feel like you're just crossing your T's, dotting your I's, making sure you're getting the advantages you need. And don't forget, with the TP, I was just about to say, Biubiu could just come in straight on top of this. Has got the Shirelda's Grudge. Cube is in no way positioned to defend this. And that's going to be a free inhibitor. No way you can contest this. Sssum trying to be aggressive, but it's just not really going to be enough to try and stop him. Mid lane turret taking a bit of a battering as well, but this is great from WE. And honestly, it's such a departure as well from RA. It feels like when they were allowed to, I'll stop myself, but bring myself back in. When they were allowed in game 1 to just, as you say, be aggressive, push in, getting all these different movements in without really any response from WE, it worked great. But when WE were prepared for it, now that they've seen it and they're coming into game number 2, they're just prepared for it at all times. They're kind of saying, cool, all we need to do is play defensively rather than play aggressively, and we should be able to call all your bluffs. I mean, Leyan went from unkillable to 2-5. Like, he is, and in fairness, 2-5 sounds like a horrible scoreline, but the rest of his team are 0-2, 0-1.
Right, like, no one's really been able to get anything done. There's only 2 kills across the board for RA, and he is all 2 of them. Yeah, so...
Oh, here we go. They're looking to find an assassination. That's one thing there. Now Hope in a lot of trouble. Does have the QSS and the barrier lane goes in.
You got it.
I call Worth on it though, because it's a massive shutdown. Shanks not really able to make it work here. That's a huge shutdown. He knew he was dead either way. He needed to get that Zeri dead.
Yeah, absolutely. When the collapse comes through from WE and he sees that Bios on him, he just has to send it. Throw everything you can into Hope's health bar and hope it sticks, and it does. 1,000 gold. Sure, it's not going into Sssum, it's not going into Strive, it's just going to a mid to late game Lee Sin. But, I mean, better to take it than to not, right? At the end of the day. And now they can just go back, farm up. It's not like he's died at a time where Baron's on the map either, so there's a threat of losing that. They can live happy for now. See if they can return to a fight. But again, you know, just more of that, right? We haven't really seen that from RA basically the entire game long, just trying to sit in fog, dash out of the mobility, and then find a lockdown. Great flash forward from Strive. And they just find this Lulu. Tidal Wave connects, and they just say, all right, send it. Look at this. Connects, just immediately just takes it. Just knows he has to kill. Yeah, he has to kill Hope. Otherwise, he's just not going to die. And he will die for nothing.
Oh, he's not looking for team. He's looking for Sssum. He's looking for Sssum. Sssum, you got to check this.
Oh, he's got it,
He's got him, but he's got killed, and that's it. He was still moving forward when he threw out the W, and Shanks finds that could be it. You don't have the damage. You've nothing. Yeah. You're not going to be able to defend this.
Shanks with the amazing flat. I don't even know how he managed to get behind everyone there. But like you say, he found Sssum, and even though he throws the W in, he has an idea that LeBlanc could be still around and snooping.
But he
just moves forward. He doesn't take a step back.
Yeah. It's half-assed. He kind of throws it out more out of obligation than actually checking. And now all the inhibitors they wanted down. Southwind almost taken out himself. You got to try find something. You got to throw out something here to try and defend your base. But Nexus Turret 1 dead. Nexus Turret number 2 survives for a little bit longer. Strive trying to see if he can make this one work for his team. They flash forward, but the wild growth is just too much. QSS as well makes it so much more difficult. You finally get Sssum back. He does get a shutdown there onto Biubiu. But these health bars are so low, and Southwind, yeah, you're dead, my friend. There's going to be the Zeri doing Zeri things, and WE will send us to a full plate of 6 games as Hope tops off the game with a quadra kill.
Excellent stuff from Team WE. And they find themselves returning the favor to RA in pretty similar fashion, to be honest with you. Just a little slower on the clock at worst. But so much better looking compared to game number 1, where it just felt like they had to just roll over and accept that they were going to lose that game. Here in game number 2, though, a lot more proactivity. I think just swapping up the Azir for the LeBlanc, right, and keeping a majority the same team composition, just having that level of agency really helped them out. Because I think having that Azir in the mid lane in a game like that, where RA were looking so aptly for picks, it's so hard to respond because Azir just isn't really ready to do that until the second item comes in, right? That's when he really gets to play the game. The first item is a nice spike, but it's really with the second item where Azir comes online, and they couldn't afford to wait that long in game number 1. Swap up for the LeBlanc here, and consistently, Heng is just finding engage after engage after engage with Shanks, and constantly just bursting down the first target. They can see really, really good look from Team WE, and RA not as sharp as they were in game number 1, but still very much showing us that they were willing in the first 10 minutes or so to look for those plays. It was just a little bit too slow in the mid game once WE had that lead for them.
Yeah, and it does feel like that was just a much better adaptation coming out from WE, like you mentioned, having that little bit of engagement, having that little bit of a initiative to start something going for themselves really paid dividends. And honestly, I do want to shout out Lwandy as well. I feel like Lwandy was just fantastic at what he was able to provide for his team, just building on that Lulu, moving himself around. It is Heng who picks himself up the MVP. So both junglers getting them back-to-back games. And it was, of course, the side of oh my god, I've forgotten his name. I've forgotten the name. What's who? Leyan. Jesus, oh my god.
I was letting you sink there.
You were letting me sit there. You're like, nah, watch him burn. Watch him burn. But yeah, look, we're going to take a quick break. I believe when we come back, we should be fully caught up to the live broadcast. So guys, we'll see you on the flip side. See you very, very soon.